Hello, my friends. Let's do a mic check really quick. Drop down a 1 if you can hear me. A 2 if you can't hear me. Just read my lips. I'm having a little bit of connectivity issues, but you know what? I literally had to go and delete Facebook app off my phone and then reload it back up and then get started again. And so I could, that was an event that took place. Listen closely. The event was Facebook was not being my friend today. And so that event, I could have placed a meaning on it as like, you know what, no, we're not gonna, I'm not meant to do this live today. I'm not meant to keep doing what I said I was gonna do. I'm not meant to, this is a great excuse to not do this, go live, right? Or I could say, you know what, Sherry, this is a test. Like, are you really committed to doing these Facebook Lives every single day? Are you really committed? Like, are you really committed? Like, how committed are you? This is a test. Are you gonna pass? And I'm like, yes, I'm gonna pass because I'm on here and my friends are on here too. So if you guys are watching this live, drop down your favorite emoji. If it's on replay, just drop down the word #replay, and I would love to connect with you later. But we are officially, hello, Miss Erin. Hello, Mr. Greg. Hello, Erin. Hello, Larry. We are officially on day number 3. And right now we're going to be covering chapter 2. Part B. So we did chapter 2 yesterday, part A, because it's like a 5 million page chapter. Hello, Mr. Bill. Hello, everybody. But we're going to do the second part of chapter 2. I'm going to very first start out with this question. And the question was given by our good friend, Miss Zoe. Miss Zoe. So the question was that Miss Zoe asked was, she said, Sherry, what about if you don't know what you want? Because you hammer us and you're like, you got to know what you want, because if you don't know what you want, you're going to end up with nothing. Like, that's exactly where you're going to end up. If you don't know, if you don't have anything in mind, that's where you're going to end up at. So it's like, what do I know? Like, you have your whole entire life. What happens if I don't know exactly what I want? How many of you guys can relate? Can you drop a relate down below and show some love to Ms. Zoe? And while you're doing the relate thing, how about you also drop some little clappy emojis too to show some support, the fact that she stepped up to go ask a question. Because why I'm honoring her so much with the question, the fact she asked a question, is because your questions, your willingness to ask questions. That's right. Give her some love. Good job, you guys. Because your questions reveal, number 1, is your depth of understanding. Number 2, it also reveals the level, the motivation, the standard you want to hold to learning the material. Because if you don't got questions over this last chapter too, okay, you're not applying yourself, just FYI. And how I know this is because I know when I'm applying myself and when I'm not. And when I'm not, I don't got no questions. It's clear to me. So with that said, if you guys have any questions, just drop them down below and we'll get them answered at the very end, or we'll get them answered at some time. But I want to make sure everybody, we're working this whole progress together, because it's not just about sitting on here watching me talk. Nah, I want you to actually learn the material, apply it, and we're going to be getting results in the next 27 days. Who's in? Drop a I'm in if you guys are in, because we're about to go super deep. If I have your permission. Do I have your permission, by the way? I just want to make sure. Okay, here we go. Decisions. I'm going to answer her question this way. I'm not talking about right now, right? Let's start with baby steps. Right now, you don't need to necessarily know what you're going to be doing with your entire life, what your purpose in life is. You know how many kids you're going to have, like what's your house, where are you going to live? Like, you don't need to know all that. Let's start with the very basic ones, because if you can't take control over your basic questions, over your basic decisions, don't try to make the big decisions in life, because it's not the big decisions in life that screw us up. It's these little tiny decisions. And here's what I mean right here. Bringing home the decision. Every single moment, all 3 of you guys are focusing on one of 3 things. Actually, you're focusing on all 3 of those. So disregard that first part. Number 1, you're making a decision on what to focus on. So just really, really clearly is you're making a decision on what to focus on. Are you going to focus on things you can control or things you can't control? By the way, this is a time to stop and pause or tell me to slow down, Sherry, so you can take notes on this, because this is so, so vital right here. If you want to really take your life to the next level, you're focusing on making a decision, focus on what you can control or can't control. You get to choose. You're making a decision to focus on the past or focus on the present and future. You're making a decision to focus on what you've lost or what you've gained. Right? You're making a decision. You're making a decision whether you should focus on yourself or focusing on others. And by the way, if you're having friction in your life, if you're depressed, if someone ever tells me they're depressed, I know exactly what the problem is. They're focusing on things they can't control. They're focusing on things that they've lost, and they're focusing on themselves, period. You cannot possibly be depressed if you're focusing on other people. Just straight out there. So it's really easy to change. You just make the decision to change, to focus on the opposites, right? Things you can control, things you do have in your life. You're focusing on the future, focusing on other people. Instant formula for depression. It can't be that easy, but yes, it is. I spoke yesterday how I used to be on Prozac back in the teenage years, right? And once I understood what caused that depression, I never will ever allow myself to drop into that phase again, because I know it's all controllable by just making a decision on what to focus on. Are you guys following so far? Drop a follow. Thank you, Aaron. Drop a follow if you guys are following me so far, because we're just getting started. Okay, the number two decision you're focusing on all time is you're making a decision on what things are going to be meaning to you. So what happens in your life, if you guys can write this down, is write down the word event. E-V-E-N-T. Scored that one! I'm proud of myself. I just celebrated. Event. So what happens is events take place in your life, and right after the events take place in your life, then bam. Good job, Kate. Good job, CrAzY. Good job, Irene, Bill, Greg. You guys are so smart. I love hanging out with my smart friends. So event takes place, and then right after the event takes place, you put a meaning on the event. What is this event going to mean to you? And by the way, most times you do this unconsciously. So once you place a meaning on it, you decide to do an emotional reaction. A really simplistic example, let me tell you this. Have you guys ever been driving in traffic? If you guys have ever been driving in traffic, and all of a sudden a car pulls up right beside you and then cuts in front of you and then stops, slows down, or whatever, cuts you off right away. Make the sound of how that makes you feel. Can you drop some no's in the comments down below? Can you drop some in the comments down below if that's how you feel? So what happens is the event is just the event of the car coming in front of you. But the meaning you place on it is the reason why you have that emotional reaction. Did you catch that? That is super heavy. So events in life are not tragic, or they're not successes. They're disguised as those when we're being unconscious. See, what the beauty of this is, we can change the meanings of events to be whatever we want them to be. Period. Nothing in life has meaning except the meanings we give it. And the meanings we give it can either imprison us for the rest of our entire life or can free us in our life. And the beauty is we get to make the decision on the meaning we're going to be putting on it. Okay, so number 2. If you guys got questions with this, just drop it down below and I'm going to make it super clear if you guys have questions. But if you don't, I'm just going to keep rolling on through. Okay, number 3. The third thing you're making a decision about every single day is your decision on what to do, what you're going to do to create the results in your life. What are you going to do? And by the way, by not making a decision, you're making a decision. We talked about yesterday, 10 years ago, if someone were to ask you, where are you going to be at in 10 years? What would you have told them? And are you at that spot in your life right now? But a better question is, these next 10 years are going to be coming. Every single one of us on here is going to be arriving in 10 years. The question is, where are you going to be arriving at? The beauty is your decisions, your daily decisions, these decisions on these little tiny things are going to dictate where you're going to be 10 years from now. The decisions you're making right now in this moment on what to focus on, what things mean to you, whether you're going to be listening to this and saying, no, I'm not going to listen to that today. Like, let's just shut this off. I'd rather go sit on the couch or go blame something. None of you guys would do that. But because I don't hang out with those type of people. I hang out with you juicy people. Or are you making a decision that, oh my gosh, like this might actually be applicable. Let's just try it to just see what would happen. So you're making 3 decisions, just to recap. Number 1, at all times you're making a decision on what to focus on. You're making a decision, number 2, on what things are going to mean to you. And number 3, you're making a decision, okay, what am I going to do? What am I doing right now to move towards my ultimate vision, my ultimate goal? Okay, so to bring it back home. This is such a strong point. Good job, Andrew. Good job, Ben. Good job, Chad. Okay, Aaron, I see you. Good job. Okay, the problem is right now I want you guys to think about somebody in your life that has experienced a higher level success than you in any area, either in relationships or either in financial world or either in their happiness. If they're experiencing a higher level success than you are, the only difference is they are making those 3 different decisions I just told you about drastically different than you. They're choosing different decisions on how they're going to focus things, different decisions on what things mean to them, different decisions on how to take actions to move towards their end goal. Does that make sense? Are you guys following this? Yes or yes? Can I get it? Can I get a yes or a yes? There you go, Tracy and Bill and Todd, everybody. So it's super easy. All you got to do is just change your decisions in those areas. And this right here, oh my gosh, this was so heavy whenever I was looking at this. Is he references the Niagara Falls. And the Niagara Falls syndrome is most people in life, I want to say probably about 90, maybe 97.3 people in life, they jump into the river of life, right? They jump in and they go splash around. And then what happens is they just float on down. They just go wherever the current takes them. The current events that are taking place in their life, the current fears that are controlling them in their life, they're over here, but all of a sudden, you know, their current challenges in life takes them over here. They're just going back and forth, just going with the flow, wherever their fears take them, or whatever their challenges take them, or whatever life events take them. And next thing you know, they hit the T in the whatever it's called, that river thing. And they don't make a conscious decision whether they should go right or left. They just go wherever their fears dictate them, or wherever society tells them they should go, or wherever. They just go. And they spend their whole entire life just drifting until one day they wake up and all of a sudden they hear this roaring river. And the reason it's roaring is because they are 5 feet from falling off into stage 17 devastation. The river's right there. And it's too late to do anything about it. And whenever I say they wake up 5 feet from falling, to bring it into real terms, that could be 5 feet from falling. They wake up one day and they realize they're 5 feet from falling to financial devastation, 5 feet from falling from emotional devastation, 5 feet from falling to physical, your body. People are digging their grave with their teeth, 5 feet from falling to your physical body devastation. You know, how many people have seen that? Drop a 5 down below if you guys have experienced that or seen this happen to anybody in their life, to where everything was good. Bam! All of a sudden it hits us. That's called the Niagara Syndrome. I almost made a joke there, but I stopped myself. But the question is, what do you do in that situation? Like, what do you do if you wake up and you're 5 feet? Well, you can do one of two things. Number one is you can stick those oars into the ground and you can pull as hard as you possibly can, flip the boat around, and take off, paddling as fast as you can the other direction by making a solid decision and giving everything you can to moving in the opposite direction, so you don't have to face that devastation. You don't have to face that type of fall. Or the other thing is you can just keep going with the current events, the current fears, the current challenges, and you fall. It's your choice. But the beauty is you get a chance to decide on which way you want to go. You got it, you guys. You nailed it. Good job. So here's this. The question is, most people don't understand what controls this, because you actually are controlling which way you want to go, but it's on this like unconscious system. See, in your brain, you have wired your brain unconsciously. It's not your fault. It's just been wired. Actually, you know, before you were even in the double digits, whenever you're just a little kid, 4, 5, 6, 7, it's been wired, and it's also been conditioned since then. But this unconscious system is telling you what feels good, what doesn't feel good. It's telling you what to fearful, what fears, what you should fear, and what you should hold on to. Is telling you what has to happen in order for you to feel love, or what has to happen in order for you to push somebody away. And you don't realize you're doing it. This unconscious system that's in your mind, that's controlling every single word, every single feeling, every single reaction, every single everything, is controlling the times where you feel like compelled to go do something, and also those times you feel you just can't get yourself to go do it. How many people like to put it in to that not being able to get yourself to go do a thing? You want to go do a thing, but you can't get yourself to do a thing. If you want to get over that, smash the heart button down below, just a whole bunch of heart buttons, because it feels so good. So, what are these 5 invisible forces controlling us? Let me tell you just really quick. Number 1 is going to be your core beliefs. Number 2 is your life values. This is take note time. Number 3 is your references in life. Number 4 is your habitual questions. What's your habitual questions you're constantly asking yourself? We'll get into that. Number 5, your emotional states. The pattern of these emotional states you allow yourself to go into. Those are the 5 things. Now, Do you need to know all of those in depth? Heck no, we're going to be going over those in the next 27 days, because if you could just change one of those 5 things I just told you about, you can drastically, immediately, not delayed, immediately, drastically change your life. Completely make a pivot, boom, instantly. See, it doesn't take decades for you to change. It takes just one moment, one distinction, one instance. And that's how you can make the change. So just by changing one of these, which we're going to be teaching you how to do those, if you're game, I don't know if you're game. Number 2, let me go back, Erin. Number 2 was life values. Life values. Thank you so much. Hello, Kelly. Hello, Janelle. Look at you guys. Hi, Rhonda. Okay, so I want to emphasize river of life. You're going in there, going back and forth, just unconsciously making all these decisions you don't even know. And these decisions, by the way, aren't even yours. These values, these reference points, these rules, they're not even yours. They're your parents'. And they're not even your parents' rules. They're your parents' rules. And they're your parents' rules. They're your coworkers' rules. They're your siblings' rules. They're not even yours. But yet they're controlling every single decision, everything you do in your entire life. Do you get that? See, we unconsciously built them, and we're unconsciously following every single step. And that's why 99% of the world is in the state they're currently in. But there's 1% that figure it out. There's 1% that's like, you know what, sure, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to consciously design these invisible forces to serve me, to constantly design it to where, I constantly feel motivated. Constantly, my default is happiness. My default is success. My default is just win. My default is love. I don't shut down around people. I'm not shy. I'm not always worrying about, I'm not always anxious. Did you realize you can consciously design that? I'm going to teach you exactly how to do that if you want. Game on, you guys. All right, so here's this. Here's going to be the homework. We're closing this out. I'm just giving you preference what we're going to be doing in chapter 3, 4, 5, 6. But for homework, just to make it relevant to you, what I want you to go ahead and do is I want you to think about an event that happened in your life. An event that happened in your life that gave you friction. And friction can be guilt, anxious, jealousy, just anything that doesn't feel good. I want you to think about that event. And what I want you, actually just do it with me. Just do it with me. Everyone just close your eyes. You're not closing. I see you. Close your eyes. Come on, close your eyes. All right, I want you to think about that event that gave you friction. And I want you to, you got it? Drop a 2 down below if you have that event. And I want you to think about, what were you focusing on? What was the decision that you made to focus on? Were you focusing on things you can't control? Were you focusing on things that you lost? Were you focusing on yourself? In that event that gave you friction, what specifically were you focusing on? How can you guys type the word 2 whenever your eyes are closed? How can you do that? That was a tricky one. I'm just kidding. Okay, so the real, write down that event and write down what exactly were you focusing on. I also want you to write down what was the meaning you gave to the event. What was the meaning? Did it mean that you weren't good enough? Did it mean that you weren't loved? Did it mean like you're defunctional, like you're dysfunctional? Did it mean that you're never going to be good enough? Did it mean that you have to say, what did that event mean to you? And by the way, if you're feeling friction about it, it's because you put a bad meaning on it. Not right or wrong, it's just what it is. So I want you to identify that. And now here's the good part. Here's going to be the turnaround. Once you actually sit down and identify this, and if this is going too fast, just watch the replay and pause it. Or if I'm talking too fast, just put me in slow-mo. That's okay too. You guys think I'm talking fast now. You should see me on stage. Okay, so now the turnaround is I want you to think about that exact event, and I want you to go ahead and make a different decision on what to focus on. Focus on what you have in that moment. And you're like, Sherry, I don't have anything. They took it all away from me, or they did this to me, or I got nothing. And now, okay, don't play at that level. Don't play at that level. And if you're teaching this to somebody, tell them do not play at that level unless they want to stay imprisoned to this situation the rest of their entire life. Just hypothetically, what do you have in that situation? You have the ability to control the meaning. You have the ability to make sure that event never happens to anybody else. You have the ability to make sure this never happens to you. You have the ability to help people through this event. You have the ability. Like, what do you have? I want you to write down also, what can you control in this moment? In that event that's giving you friction, what can you control? Sherry couldn't control anything because it was all happening to me. Like, I was too young, or I was too old, or the car came out of nowhere, or whatever happened. Don't play that game. Don't play that game. What can you control in that situation? We're just going to go back and recreate the moment. We're going to this time focus on what we can control. Again, you can control your reaction to it. You can control the meaning you put behind it. You can control what you decide to do moving forward. You can control what type of life lesson this will give you. You can control the type of value this event can add to your life moving forward. I don't know, these are some ideas. They're juicy ideas. And the last thing I want you to write down on what to focus on is, instead of focusing on yourself, which you are at that time, because if you're suffering equals focusing on yourself, not right or wrong, it's just what it is. If you want to be out of suffering, quit focusing on yourself. But focus on other people in that situation. How can you think about other people? Because you're the only one involved. Or maybe the other people were having issues with you. Or maybe just all of a sudden justice unfair. It was not right. I'm not saying what's just or what's unjust. I'm just saying just what happened. Take a moment. I want you to make a conscious decision to think about how this can help other people. Maybe because this knowledge, this event you went through, how it can help is you will make sure you will never do this to anybody else. This knowledge you went through, this event that you went through, you learned a depth of wisdom you could not have gained any other way besides going through this experience. This wisdom that can not only empower yourself, but empower everybody else moving forward. What can you give? You can give contrast. Whenever somebody thinks their life is so bad, you can look at them and you're like, you know what? And you can tell your story. And you can give them the beauty of contrast, because you don't know how good something is unless you know how bad it is. In fact, that's actually a gift you got given to yourself by going through this event. Because you don't know an amazing relationship until you face stage 17 devastation, where they rip your heart out, right? If you haven't been through that, it's going to happen. It's called life. Just letting you know. You know, you don't appreciate the value until you have the value of $1 until you have no dollars. You don't appreciate the relationship you have with your family until you realize that somebody else's family was killed. You don't appreciate this until you can experience the contrast. So maybe that's the gift you were given. Okay, so then the final thing, here we go, we're bringing it home. But the final thing I want you to go do at this event that's giving you friction. By the way, how are you guys feeling about this event? Drop down the emoji, the on the scale of, let's do this. Let's do this. On the scale of 1 to 10. Drop down from 1 to 10 how you're feeling about this event. It might still give you friction, but from 1 to 10, 10 being way better, 1 being still the same. How are you feeling about the event that happened to your life? Whenever you start focusing on things you can control in the event, things that you gain from the event, focusing on how you can serve others through this event, how are you guys feeling from 1 to 10? 1 to 10, 10 being super juicy, 1 being like still the same. How are you feeling now? And if you're anything less than like, I don't know, a 6, I'm going to have you do this last exercise, and that's change the meaning. If the meaning before was disempowering, which obviously it is if it's giving you friction, I want you to change the meaning to something that will empower you. See, you're the one that put the bad meaning on it. And whenever you put a bad meaning on something, you're in prison to it the rest of your entire life. It's not saying what the person did was right to you. It's not saying the event was supposed to happen to you. It's not any of that. It's just, if you cannot create an empowering meaning, it's going to control your entire life. So what's a beautiful meaning you can put on this event? What's a beautiful meaning? And go ahead and write that down. The meaning that now you have the wisdom you couldn't have gained any other way. The meaning that now you have this incredible contrast to where you can really experience that relationship. You can really experience the life. You can really experience life, period. You know? Bentley, my dog, is so happy because he was like pronounced dead as a puppy because he got attacked by a pit bull. And now he's happy because every single day is just a gift, right? That event could have stage 7 traumatized him, but somehow it didn't. And he's just happy every single day. That's a meaning, at least I tell him that he's put on it, that he's told me. But what's a beautiful meaning you can put on it? And if you don't mind, just share the meaning down below. And with that said, my friends, that is your homework for tonight. And we'll be meeting tomorrow at 6 p.m. California time, 7 p.m. Mountain time, 8 p.m. Central time, 10 p.m. that time over there, Eastern time zone. If you guys got value with this, if you guys got value, drop down the hashtag value, please. And any questions you got, again, post them down below, and we're just going to be working collaborative. I'll answer all the questions at the very beginning, and we're just going to hammer it. Chapter 3, baby's going to be tomorrow. I'll see you guys later. Have an amazing, the best night ever. Bye.